Hello, good day. Once again, you are welcome to my channel. I'm Dr. Abubakar Ali, and today we'll be discussing the 15% import duty on petrol as announced by the federal government of Nigeria. Now, this is a departure from what has been happening in the last few days since Friday. I'm talking about the designation of Nigeria as a country of particular concern by the US President. We have said quite a lot. There has been debates left, right, and center about this issue. So I decided that today I will move to something else, something more internal, kind of, because I believe part of the reason for this designation is to distract us from the task of nation building. So today we are moving to something more internal, which is the 15% fuel tax, import tax on petrol. You recall that the Tinubu administration is actually taxing almost everything. Some people actually said maybe very soon the Tinubu government will start taxing the air that we breathe. Hopefully not. So this fuel import tax, what is it? What is it? Now, this 15% fuel import tax is to be charged on importation of fuel. The marketers do import fuel, and you actually remember that before the coming of Dangote, the refineries had been down since 1998, and Nigeria has basically been surviving on fuel importation. People make so much money from it. There is subsidy coming with it, and there is arbitrary pricing. The government pays subsidy, but the marketers still do what they like and all of that. So, with the coming of Dangote, the dynamics changed, and also the government, you recall, declared a deregulation policy on the downstream sector of the industry. So the 15% is for those who import fuel into the country. And the government said, look, we are imposing this tax so as to discourage import and encourage local refining. Encourage Dangote, encourage the modular refineries under construction now, encourage even NNPC. I don't know where that comes from because NNPC is not refining anything. Though a lot of money has been sunk into the Port Harcourt refinery, but no refining is taking place there. So on first value, on the first value, it looks good. Okay, we are encouraging local refining. We are encouraging, we are boosting local capacity. Good. Now, the problem is that this fuel import tax is going to change the economic landscape of Nigeria. It's going to lead to higher fuel prices. And I think this is the key question. How is that going to affect the common man? How is that going to affect me and you? We know there have been taxes everywhere, but this particular one is strategic because we know how key, how important, how paramount fuel is to the Nigerian economy. Almost the price of almost everything revolves around fuel. And that's what makes it key. The price of tomato in the market revolves around fuel. So if a liter of fuel goes 1 naira up, you go to the market, the price of tomato will move. The price of pure water will move. It will rise. If you go to the market, actually, the market woman will tell you the price of yesterday is not be the same price as today. Oh. And you ask her, she said they don't remove subsidy. She might not even be able to tell you tell you what subsidy is. But she will tell you, they don't remove subsidy. Oh. They don't remove subsidy. You know? So that is how strategic the price of fuel is. Now, currently, the price of fuel revolves around 900 naira, 915 naira to 1030 naira, depending on where you are. Okay, Lagos obviously has the lowest price because of its proximity, to the production location, to the port. Okay, those who import, and even to the Dangote refinery itself, which is located in that area. So this transportation is what actually adds up. It is called bridging, in technical terms. This transportation is what adds up to the price. So if you're in Lagos, the marketer has to move the fuel from Lagos to Kano, and he actually, has to recoup his transportation, which is actually being paid during the era of subsidy. Although subsidy is still being paid, one way or the other. But now that there is no subsidy officially, bridging, that is the cost of transportation, should not be augmented by the government. Now, this 15%, as I was asking, how does it affect you and me? Now, let's even take for the basis, for the sake of argument, that we are buying this fuel at 1,000 naira per liter. Okay? And mark you, this 15%, import duty is for petrol and diesel. And we know how strategic it is to transportation. Almost all the trucks, all the HGVs, use diesel. Okay? So now, back to it. If you are buying this fuel, petrol, at 1,000 naira per liter, with the 15% tariff imposed by the Tinubu administration, you are actually going to be buying it at 1,150 naira. 150 naira has been added to it automatically from the 15%. If it is 1,000. And we know in some places it's already more than 1,000 naira. Actually, in some places in Kano, Katsina, some of these places, Sokoto, you buy for as much as 1,300. We know the price, is not regulated because the industry downstream sector is deregulated. Okay, so you have everybody competition, everybody trying to fix their prices. Now, that is supposed to be a good thing. It's supposed to bring the price down. But because the industry works like a cult, the marketers run their businesses like a cult. They are together. You cannot break them. And also, the weak regulatory structure of our institutions. In this case, the Nigerian Midstream Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority. Are they doing enough? How many stations had been, whose licenses had been revoked, had been fined over this arbitrarily. Look, it's a whole, uh, you know, network of problems. Even the meter itself, you go to the station, you go to buy fuel. What you buy is not what goes into your tank is not what you paid for. It's not. In most of the stations, there is this meter, fraud. They change the meters. They change the meters. If you are buying 5,000 naira fuel, they actually, um, what actually goes into your tank is 3,500 or 4,000 naira liter, and they take the rest. And you don't know. It's a big scam. And if you think I'm making it up, please do a research. Take a 5 liter, a 10 liter gallon of fuel and go to the station and buy your fuel from the gallon, 10 liters, and pay for it. You pay for 10 liters, right? Okay. Then see whether it gets to 10 liters. We will discuss this later. But now, back to the tariff. The issue here is that the government says, this tariff is meant to encourage local refining. Good. On the first value, that is good. That's a good thing. But, you see, the fact that the regulatory structure in Nigeria, the regulatory institutions are very weak. You see, government may not be able to ensure, compliance in terms of, pricing, in terms of, particularly the pricing itself, the compliance. But more importantly, I would say, is the fact that the Dangote refinery today can actually satisfy the domestic demand for fuel in Nigeria. So I think the government has to move further, okay? The government has to move further. Just imposition of tariff, okay, 15% tariff, okay, it's not good enough because there will still be importation. We shouldn't have importation. We don't need importation in Nigeria. Why? Because Dangote refinery has the capacity to actually meet up with domestic demand. I'm not here speaking for Dangote. I'm only making contributions towards a better society, how we can have the fuel that we need to run the economy, and also how we can have it at the lowest minimum price, affordable price. That's what I'm trying to do. So now Dangote can satisfy domestic consumption, domestic demand. What is this domestic demand? Okay, there were those days when the government says the domestic demand is 60 million. We even had when the government was saying it was 64 million. But after the removal of subsidy in 2023, that figure actually came down to about 34 million. So right now there is no, standard, reliable figure on domestic consumption, as to how many liters of fuel Nigeria consumes daily. It fluctuates about 34 million, 45 million to 50 million liters every day. Okay? Every day. So now the point I'm trying to make here is that government should, instead of imposing 15% tariff, government should ban importation of fuel. Yes, the same government, the same APC government actually closed the borders to encourage local, in those days, they closed borders to encourage local, production, local production of rice, local production of this uh, essential commodities. Because it doesn't make sense. You are actually able to produce something and you keep importing it. That weakens your naira. And this is some of the reasons why we're having the current crisis in our foreign exchange system. So now, in the same vein, if you can close the borders to say, okay, look, we don't import rice because we can produce it in-house. The same way, ban the importation of fuel. 15% tariff is not good enough. Ban in totality the importation of fuel because we have a refinery in Nigeria, Dangote refinery, that is 650,000 barrels per day refining capacity every day. This refinery refines 650,000 barrels per day of crude oil. Okay, so now this 650,000, how does it meet up with our local production, with our local demand, our daily demand for PMS? 650,000 barrels per day. Now, for each barrel of crude oil, you have 159 liters, of different products. Okay, this is conversion rate from barrels to liters. Okay. So you are now talking about liters. In total, how many liters does one barrel of crude oil contain? 159 liters of different products: gasoline, that's petrol, DPK, dual-purpose kerosene, AGO, automated gas oil, that's diesel, okay, naphtha, the byproducts, 159 liters. Now, out of this 159 liters, depending on which type of crude it is, you have between 70 and 80 liters petrol in each barrel of crude oil. You have between 70 to 80 liters of petrol. Okay, so if you multiply this, let's even take the minimum figure, that's 70 liters of petrol in one barrel. You have 45,500,000 liters of PMS, of petrol, which is more than the daily consumption rate for Nigeria. We consume about 34, 35 to 40. Some even say 45. Let's even take for the sake of argument that it is 45 million liters per day. Dangote can satisfy that. So why do you have to import? This is my question. This is the issue. Why does Nigeria have to continue importation? Must the same people keep making money forever on top of the common man, on top of helpless Nigerians? Must we continue to have higher prices for petrol, which will now come down to transportation, which will now increase the price of everything? Pure water. The water you drink, the price will go up. Services will go up. So, why can't the government move further, the Tinubu administration, to say, look, we are banning the importation of fuel for a period of 12 months in the first instance, And let us see how Dangote can meet up with our domestic demand. I'm not calling for monopoly, okay? I'm not saying, I'm actually an advocate of free market economy, competition. But a situation where this importation, you know, keeps coming, and then the prices keep going up, and then the government, the Tinubu administration, which seem to have, you know, no idea of production, of, you know, growing the economy, except taxation. In that case, I think it's better to stop the importation. In that case, I feel it's better we have the monopoly. Yes. It's better we have if we can have the fuel at affordable price, let monopoly be. Let it be just Dangote. If he can supply us, and he can, as I have indicated, 650,000 barrels per day refining capacity, it comes down to 45,500,000. If you are even moving to 80, okay, 80 liters PMS, as I said, depending on the type of crude, you are actually moving to 52 million. Dangote can produce 52 million liters of petrol daily. And there is even this plan, as he announced, that he's, planning to scale it up to 1.4 barrels per day refining capacity. That is huge. That is more than Nigeria. Arguably the whole of West Africa. Possibly. Yes. So now that we have a refinery in our country which can produce and satisfy our demand, why do we have to import? I ask this question. These people that are making money from subsidy, from everything, they have made too much money. I think the other time there were reports that, a former governor said one of his friends who was importing fuel actually told him that he's tired of making money. So these people are even tired of making money from subsidy, from fuel, from all these things associated with fuel. So the government should, as a matter of urgency, ban the importation of petrol. Let's start with that. Government should move from just imposition of tax to banning the importation. And Dangote is in a very good. Why should Dangote export when we need it in Nigeria? Why? After all, there are even reports the government helped him to get that refinery up, thanks to late President Muhammadu Buhari. Yeah, there are reports that the government under Buhari helped Dangote. So why should Dangote export when we need it at home? We don't need to start taxing imports, taxing importation of the imports, fuel imports. We don't need to start taxing it. When you tax it, the the price goes up, as I mentioned, by about 150 naira per liter. So you are now looking at a possibility of this fuel, price of a liter of fuel getting to between 1,400 and 1,500. And that is serious. That's serious. Because it means whatever you are buying will go by about 35% or 40%. So, increase in fuel price has a bandwagon effect on the economy. The price of everything goes. And I hope the government will look at this and, instead of imposing taxes, which will lead to increase, okay, astronomical increase in the price of fuel from the 15% tariff. The government should ban the importation of fuel, and then Dangote, whatever it comes to, will not go above 900 naira. Yes, because Dangote is only ex-depot for Dangote is already 873 naira. The marketer has about 5, 10 naira. These are the margins that very small margins. 5, 10 naira. You are now moving to about 900, 900 and 905. Dangote will not get to 1,000. A liter of fuel will not cost 1,000 if Dangote is allowed to sell fuel in Nigeria. And even look at the even quality control issues, quality control problems associated with importation. He said recently there was some substandard fuel imported from Russia, and they are crashing the price. Okay, and they are forcing everybody to sell below the landing cost. We have had instances where some people brought in adulterated fuel, and nothing happened. Nothing happened. There was no prosecution. Nobody was. I'm not sure. Nobody was even arrested. So this is not good enough. The government should move further, ban the importation of fuel. Let Dangote supply, okay, fuel. Let Dangote be the sole supplier of fuel. If we can have fuel at affordable price of high quality, then let monopoly be. If monopoly is what will help us, if monopoly is what will stop the price of fuel going to 1,000 naira and above, let it be. Thank you very much for your time. Thanks a lot.